Good morning and welcome to Qtrans Q School and our product spotlight. Today we are talking about our HE and HE Plus product, our new HE Plus. And my name is Guillen Tremaine and this is
Maura McGinnis.
And so we are presenting our 15th product spotlight. 15th times 2, right?
Times 2. We've done them every week except for July 4th.
Yeah.
Every Tuesday at 11 and 2 Eastern since March, really. We started with Leducation.
We started with one in March, and then we've done them in April, and for the foreseeable future. And this is our new studio, and we expanded our office, which you saw 2 weeks ago when we did our verse update. And so we've taken over an old office space, and this is our studio.
Let's start with our website. So we always go to our website to kind of get you through the details. So our products drop down. We're talking today about linear LED strips, and you can see as you go through the page, all of our offerings. On the left side of every page are filters. We always recommend you use those. Today we're talking about HE and HE Plus. HE Plus will be there soon, but let's look at HE 3.0 as an example. On each product page, there's information on the front page. There's some technical information, some compatibility charts with clickable links, some downloads. Oh, there's me. And then we always recommend you go to the ordering guide. It's the most complete information. This one's about a 12-page document. The top is the ordering code where you're going to find your IPs, your color offerings, your wires, your CRI. Then you're going to figure out how to build your part number and build your fixture. Then here's your details about size. We're going to get into this later about what fits in what and why. Then photometrics. So this stuff's really useful when you are defending our products. So our HE and our static white are one step, one bin. And you can see our CRIs are really high, our R9s are great. Then you have associated products and details, and then the lumen multiplier guide. So you have great initial lumens that are going to be impacted by the lens and the extrusion that you install them in. Another compatibility chart, some installation information. I think then there is some accessories and details with the accessories. And I think that might be the end of that document. That's only 12 pages. Some of these documents are 34 pages.
You know, I thought we were going to get through this without seeing the mini J, but
there was the mini J. Yeah. So now we can go to the next slide. So that's, again, a quick website review. Ask your regional or your rep if you have questions about where to find something on our website. We're always working on improving it, and we're always open to suggestions, and we'll be launching a new one before the end of the year.
Right.
So please learn that one.
Yeah, just so you can see the new one.
We're going to keep a lot of the great features.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to talk about what makes up an LED?
Yeah, so this is just the basics of the LED strip. We've got the substrate or the PCB. We've got the cup points, which are also the solder points, and then the LEDs and diodes and the resistors. But what we're kind of focused on today is the pitch, and the spacing between the LEDs and, of course, the size of the LEDs themselves. So,
but I don't want to go too quickly past resistors because that's how our engineers have really created consistency across each of these families, right?
Yep.
It's by engineering the board and the resistors and keeping the diodes, the LED, the light-emitting diode, consistent. And that's a big deal for Qtran. We want to give you great dimming, and consistent color. And we're doing that across all categories.
And being able to be uniform throughout the diffusion and transmission levels of the product and lenses.
So let's look at all we offer in LEDs. We used to offer just static white.
That's right.
And now, next slide shows us.
Oh, I'm still in control, huh? Static white.
Yes. Everything that we're talking about today is static white. So we have our static white 24 line, our static white high efficacy, and our static white high efficacy plus. So you can see the characteristics that are consistent across are the color temperatures offered, not in HE plus. We have a tighter range of those. We talk about the chip because the chip sort of impacts the spacing and the delivered lumens in a lot of ways. So you can see our 1.5 watts through 5 watts has the tightest pitch with the smallest chip, 2 millimeters by 1.6, so that's a 2016 chip. And then we move into a 2835 and a 5630. Now, if you can look at that slide, you can count the diodes as well. So let's look at the next slide, because that gives us more details.
Sure.
So the SW24 has 6 diodes per cut point, either a 1-inch or a 2-inch cut point, because our 6 and our 7.5 watt per foot product use a larger chip, but are consistent in color and dimming curve and chip quantity. Then our HE24 is 8 diodes per 2 inches, and our HE plus 24 is 9 diodes. So the plus just means plus 1 diode.
Just a little bit more.
Plus 1 diode.
Yeah, and it's not just the more diodes, but it's also the resistors and drive current. So it's actually allowing us to offer a lot more lumens per LED cut point. What we had up until this year was really 6 LEDs per cut point, which allowed us to have a really nice dimming curve, and we didn't want to give that up. We were able to still have a really nice dimming curve with more LEDs per cut point, and we can actually offer the same dimming curve on the SW and the SWHE by using the new power supply.
Oh, yes, our magic power supply, the QZ,
Yep.
which we have, which is what we're going to be used for showing product today. It's what we've been using in most of our Q schools. I'm pretty sure there's a power supply Q school.
Yeah.
I think we talk about it. This is pulse width modulation dimming. So what that allows us to do is equalize or mitigate the differences between the number of diodes affecting the dimming curve or the...
Well, that's it.
That's it? Well, the resistors, right? Because they're driving things differently. So we have, let's look at the next slide. So this just sort of is a quick look at the comparison. It's kind of simplified instead of going through 34-page ordering.
Right.
guides.
So we've got the SW24 volt, which is available in 1.5, 3, 4, 5, 6, and also 7.5, which we're not showing here. But if you go to the next one, we have the HE, which is also available in 1.5, 3, 6, and 9. So looking at the 3 watts per foot, you can see that we're going from 300 lumens per foot to 407 lumens per foot. And then if you go to the HE plus, we're now at 500 and almost 90 lumens per foot. And then going to the 6 watt comparison, you see that we're going from 530 to 770 to over 1,000 lumens per foot in the new HE plus.
Which is crazy, right? Because our 9 watt HE is 1,159 lumens, which is also madness.
It's
a lot of light out of an LED strip. But
well,
to get...
I mean, you were a lighting designer at one point in your career. Did you ever think that this product could achieve that?
I mean, there was always, linear fixtures, but it wasn't strip inside of a fixture. It was a COB or it was a line voltage,
Right.
So I have some 6 watt per foot in diffuse lensed torques, satin torque, diffuse lens. We tend to blind in the overhead shot, so maybe actually the front shot might be better so you can see us lighting each other.
Right.
That's not so bad.
Yeah, no, it's
That's
not
the
so bad.
standard. That's our 6 watts. This is our HE.
A little brighter.
Is it hurting a little more?
A little bit.
Wait for it. This one is really bright.
Yeah, you don't want to look at that.
It's over 1,000 lumens. We can dim them down, and you can take a look on the overhead shot, please, Justin, and we'll put them down at about half intensity so we don't blind our audience. Because even though our cameras are getting a lot more discerning with what they can see, light is still a challenge, and bright light is particularly challenging. So it's diode-free across the board in this diffuse lens. That's at about 50-ish%.
Yep.
And we're running them on, since we're here, on our QZ power supply.
Yep.
So we have, with all of our LEDs, really, really prioritized dimming and matching dimming curves. And with the multiple diodes per cut point, that's going to impact your dimming curve across phase dimming and across some electronic dimming. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah. We have recently introduced the QZ power supply, which works on a pulse width modulation protocol, and that mitigates the differences in the dimming curves, the multiple different amounts of diodes, and different well, this is the same wattage, but different outputs.
Right. So you could have the SW24 product on in a kitchen, as well as the HE and the HE Plus in the same space, and you could have the same dimming curve. So you don't have to worry about some lights going on or off before the other.
In a staggered curve. Okay. I might have digressed to dimming. I might have jumped ahead to dimming. So for comparisons, we made some charts again of what the offerings are. So our static white 24 is our most versatile, not to be confused with the verse.
Nope.
But we have the most numbers of wattages, the tightest pitch, and available in dry, damp, encapsulated, and wet. We're only really talking about dry and wet today, but that's probably the most versatile of the static white series. So you're going to get a lot of use out of that. You're going to get it into most of our extrusions in a lot of the IPs. Looking at the 6 and the 7.5 watts a foot, there's no wet or damp options. 6 is the only one that can fit in the mud-in, and you can't fit that larger board, which we didn't show you, but it's also a larger PCB, in the slim. And do you want to share?
Yeah, a little bit of breaking
Sadness.
news. Yeah, we're discontinuing the 7.5 watts.
It's going away.
Which does not mean we won't support it.
Right.
But there is no need to offer the 7.5 watts.
Yeah, if you get into the details of the 7.5 and the 6, the lumen difference is negligible, we feel, and that 1.5 watts, you don't need to spend it in your energy.
No.
So HE, 1.5, 3, and 6 watts are compatible with all but 3 of our extrusions in dry, and then we have the wide in wet. So I showed you before that close-up of the wider PCB. The substrate's a little wider, so that impacts what it can fit in. And again, on a previous slide, we saw the actual dimensions.
So we are going to be probably offering the HE encapsulated in the fourth or
Probably fourth quarter.
fifth quarter.
Yeah, fifth quarter. The fifth quarter. Yes. No. Oh, wow. We do have phone a friend in the room. I was wondering what the width on the HE is, because that's the widest of the boards. 0.55. So that's going to impact our extrusion offerings. Okay. HE Plus is a little skinnier. Oh, also we should note the HE 24, which is available in 9 watts a foot, which has that great lumen output, not wet.
No.
There's some
And
heat issues,
and
right?
It has to be in an extrusion.
And you must, yes, please, don't just, yeah, that needs some metal. There's some lumens pumping out of that, some
Yep.
heat management that needs to happen. The HE Plus is 3 and 6 only. It's compatible with all of our extrusions in dry and 5 extrusions in wet. So that's a great improvement. Okay, next. How good are these LEDs? How good are they? How good are they? I'm asking you.
So the SW and
Let's
the
look at this
HE
slide actually big so we can read it too.
are one step, one bin. And so we're over 95 CRI. Our R9 is also over 95. And we're really right there on the black body. The HE Plus, we're sacrificing a little bit. So we're at 3-step. We're at the lower end of the 90 end of CRI. And then our R9 is not terrible, but not fantastic, right?
It's not fantastic. It's 63. But remember, it was only until we Californians started really pushing CRI and R9 to be better.
You're from Connecticut.
I am originally from Connecticut. I lived most of my career in California. So we are here in Connecticut now. But you'll see at the bottom that little note says T24JA8 requires CCTV within 0.0033 DUV.
Yeah.
Very important to Title 24, and all 3 product categories more than comply. They look great. And that R9 value is I don't know if R9 has a numeric thing that it has to hit in Title 24, because I live in Connecticut now. So I'm not sure. Somebody will chime in from our team.
Yeah. Phil?
But I think what's super impressive about this product that we haven't really talked about is the lumens per watt. So let's look at the next slide, which doesn't have the lumens per watt. But on the previous slide, we were just looking at, my apologies, maybe I should drive
Do you want me
next
to go
time.
back?
181 lumens per watt at 6 watts a foot is, again,
129 is pretty good, too.
129 is already amazing, right? So it's pretty impressive. That's a metric that I didn't think strips would ever hit. So, okay, next slide. Max lengths. So a couple weeks ago, we had a Q School hosted by our apps engineers and my colleague Doug Payne on voltage drop.
More views than me.
Please go to YouTube and watch anything that Gian has hosted, because our voltage drop Q School has gotten a lot of views because it's an important topic. It's actually super integral to Qtran and how we started as a company. But I just want to touch on our new HE Plus. Normally, our maximum lengths on any LED strip can be figured out by the class 2 limitation, right? So the class 2 limitation of 96 watts per run, we always do everything in inches because our cut points are in either an inch or 2 inch. But if we pop to the next slide, this is where, look at that, 181 lumens per watt. This is where we see that our max length is limited. So it's just over 9 feet. It's a 3 meter max length. The others have whatever 96 divided by 6 watts is for footage. It was 192 inches. Anyway, 192 inches is our normal max length, our class 2 max length. 118 is our max length for our HE Plus. It's important to note because the more diodes, the different engineering really impacts voltage drop a little differently. Okay. And then, so you may or may not have heard Kian and I at the QVC Qtran channel selling the Verse fixture, which we're super proud of. So this is our linear fixture, our foray into linear fixtures. And we've talked in our presentations about the HE. I'm just trying to look. You can have the bright one. About the different LEDs and the diodes working differently with different optical things. So I have in my hand the static white 5 watts a foot in the Grazer, and Gian has the 9 watts a foot.
So you can see here we've got a little bit of a wider Grazer at about 15 degree, and then here with the SW 5.0, we're at about 12 degree.
Right, so that's why we call it the Grazer, not the exact beam spread. It's about 12 to 15, and it's going to be impacted by the engine behind the lens. So,
yep, it's bright.
Oh, you have the bright one again?
Yep.
We also, just to show you a little bit of a difference, we showed it to you on the 6 watts a foot. Our Lalo is our lowest extrusion, well, our mid to low profile, not the slim, but we can get diode free. So we have our HE Plus in here in, see, tags are missing. We have our HE Plus, and our static white 6 watts a foot in 2700, because that's pretty. And we just wanted to show you that all of these can be diode free with a diffuse lens. So Justin, they're on. I'm going to flip them over if you're ready for it. Kian's going to dim them down a little bit. Oh, actually, look at that. Interesting. JK. Our static white 6 watts a foot has a larger pitch spacing, so I just saw those diodes. But both the HEs were diode free.
Yeah, I might want to turn that one over.
Oh, we're going to turn that one over. The Lalo is a really slim profile. It's one of our newer extrusions. So to be able to get diode free at all in such a shallow extrusion is still pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think we're below half an inch, right? We're 0.47 or something.
Yeah. So, and also, I do actually want to turn one up bright just to show you the color quality of the 2700 in the Plus. So even though this has a little bit lower performance, actually we have some color. Our tapes have color. And I said I didn't want to show that, but now I need it. So you can see how the color renders, even at 92 CRI. It's still quite nice. So if there are any questions, our colleagues are in the room and mic'd, thank you, so they can read us any chats or questions.
Do all products dim the same if used in the same area?
When you use our QZ power supply, the pulse width modulation dimming protocol mitigates inconsistencies across product to even out the dimming curves. So that's my long yes.
So yes, we can do it. So we can have
QZ.
SW, HE, and HE Plus in the same space on the same power supply on the same dimming circuit, and it would all dim together.
Will any of the HE 24s be closet rated?
So the closet rating comes from the wattages, the 4 watts or foot or less, when built here at the factory in a extrusion. And I believe the wattage it's not the lumens, so the wattage still complies, but we'll have to check.
Well, I think it's the heat. So maybe it would pass in the verse.
It might, but because I just happened to look this up recently with our head engineer. We'll get back to you for real because we have different answers from behind the table. We'll list, if it does, how about this? If it does, it will be listed on a specification sheet on the first page near the top.
The 6 watt is limited to 9 feet, but he says the smaller wattages still show full length up to 96 watts. But I think he's referencing the HE Plus probably at 6 watts a foot versus the
Correct.
HE.
Yeah, we were only talking about the HE Plus.
Right.
6 watts.
Right.
That's the only one that has the limitation right now. Everything else is typical class 2 96 watt lengths.
Right. So all the cut sheets online are the HE right now. We have not yet released HE Plus.
Any day now.
What is the life L rating for the HE and HE Plus products?
What is the what rating?
L7.
The L,
The
L7.
L70?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what he's referencing.
Ira, we think you mean L70. Do we know what the lumen maintenance is on this?
I know for the HE because I pulled up the cut sheet, and it is the L70 at 6K is 70,000 hours.
70,000 hours.
Yeah.
I would imagine we're staying in that same lifespan. That's been a place where we've aimed for, I think,
Right.
from engineering.
That's all that's in there right now.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We
appreciate it.
We do.
We know you're in front of that monitor a lot.
And if you want to set up any presentations, please let us know. We will, of course, be glad to do that. And we are trying to set up some of our other regionals to have the same capability as we have here
Yes.
in our facility.
We got everything?
I don't know.
Oh, samples. So we're launching the HE Plus soon, and we will have samples of the HE Plus. That's taking a little longer. We have a few in-house, but we definitely have HE available now because it's been on our website for a while. So whatever samples you need, please reach out to your regional. And that's it.
That's it.
That's it. We're done now.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.